Hi, welcome to ND Admissions Live, where tonight we're going to be talking about transfer admissions as well as financial aid. And we have a full room of guests here ready to answer your questions and give you more information about the transfer process at the University of Notre Dame. And I think when as we get started here, I'm going to have each of our panelists introduce themselves and maybe where you're from and what year you are. We have a few students here, and then we have some of our professional staff here as well. So we're just going to kind of go around the room and introduce ourselves, and then we're ready to answer your questions. So as things come to mind, just type them in, and we'll be ready to answer those questions. So can I toss it your way?
Sure. My name is Michelle Drapey. I transferred from Franklin and Marshall College in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm from Oceanport, New Jersey, and I am a junior here on campus.
I'm Jessie Cairns. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I transferred from the University of Georgia. I'm also a junior, and I'm studying psychology in pre-med.
Hi, good evening. I'm Mary Nucciaroni. I'm the Director of Student Financial Aid here at the University.
Hello, welcome. I'm Erin Camilleri, and I work with our students in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions.
Hi, I'm Heather Bartlow. I'm a junior this year, transfer student. I live in Long Grove, Illinois, and I'm studying economics.
Very good. Thank you. So as we get started here, I'll invite you to key in questions, and I see that we already have some questions coming in, and I'm going to toss them to the panel to answer, and hopefully we can get to all of your questions. If at the end we haven't gotten to all of your questions, we can provide you with some information to contact us, and we're happy to talk with you and assist you through this process. So some students are writing in now, and they're talking about their application, and they've started to submit it, and they want to know, how will they know if you have everything? How will they know when it's complete?
That's a great question. So the application has a two-part process. We ask all of the students to submit the Common App as well as a writing supplement. Various other materials that they can submit right now, and that deadline for those materials all need to be in by April 15th. When we have those materials, students will receive your application. We've received your application, thanks so much, and with further instruction from there. After the semester ends, this is really important. Students need to send us their final grades. That's the final piece of the application that we need to review everything. And once we have that, that's when we can make our final decision. So we start the review process as soon as we receive the student's application. But we can't make a final decision until we receive those grades from the current semester.
Okay. And so when they receive notification that we've received their application, are they getting that by letter or by email?
That's all via email,
Okay.
and it's the email that you submitted on your Common App. So whatever contact information you offer on the Common App, make sure that you are checking that email, the mailing address on your Common App. That's where we'll send your decision letter. So be thinking really carefully, where will I be between June 1 and July 1? Will I be home, or will I be still at my first year institution? Will I be somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
Let us know. And to make sure that you're using that contact information.
Okay. And you said between June 1 and July 1?
And
is
July
that
1.
generally when
Mhm.
they find out?
Yeah, so we use a rolling admission process.
Okay.
And again, some institutions are on semester schedules, some are on quarter schedules, and so it really is just when we receive those final grades is when we can make our final decision.
Okay, so when you say rolling, what you mean is as materials are coming in and an application is complete with those final grades, then a decision goes out, and then maybe another student is on a totally different schedule.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Good.
Exactly.
And then, Mary, when do they receive financial aid notification, and do you want to just kind of walk us through that process?
Sure, Joyce, that's a great question, because what I would suggest is while you're applying for transfer admission, I'd really encourage you to complete your financial aid application process, not wait until after you're admitted, so that we can send a financial aid notification as soon as we know you've been admitted, because we know you have kind of this short window of time. So for Notre Dame, we use 2 financial aid applications, which may be a little bit different than the school you're attending right now. We use both the free application for federal student aid, so you would just add the Notre Dame school code of 001840, and then we also use the CSS financial aid profile, which you can find through our website or on collegeboard.com. And you can get to that application there. So we need both of those applications, and similar to what Erin was just describing, to have a complete file, we'll be able to get your decision out. So for all first-time financial aid applicants, that would include federal tax returns from parents, student tax return, or a verification worksheet. The application information is outlined in pretty great detail out on our website. But certainly students are more than welcome to call our office or email us as well. And I'm sure we'll go over that or give that information at the end of the program. But we'd really encourage you to get that file complete for us too, so when a decision is made, we can make a decision and it will follow. It won't be within the admit letter that is sent from the admissions office. It would follow in a separate packet for you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you hear a lot about transfer students not getting financial aid, or maybe there's not enough financial aid to go around for transfer students. Can you talk a little bit about how Notre Dame handles financial aid applications and financial aid packages for transfer students?
Sure, that's again great question. Number one, Notre Dame meets full need. So if you may remember completing the FAFSA application or the profile application, and it said your family could pay, let's say, $5,000. Well, the difference between what it costs here and that $5,000, that would be need, and we fill that need. And we have money for transfers. So the same policy that applies for undergraduate first-time enrolling students as first-year students, we apply those same policies to our transfer students. So we want our transfer students to have the money that they need to be able to come here. So
okay, good. Some questions are coming in about housing, and I'm sure you get housing questions a lot about where transfer students might stay, and maybe you can talk a little bit about it, Erin, and then if you have something to add to the conversation about your experience in housing, that would be good too. So
Sure, I can walk through the logistics of it, and then I'll toss it over to the students to actually share their experiences. For all confirmed students, they need to fill out a housing application. So students are admitted, and then they need to confirm and say, yes, I am intending to attend Notre Dame in the fall. And once they confirm with us, they're able to access the Home Under the Dome website is where they need to fill out a housing application. From there, they're put into a lottery, and it's just a random lottery in which students will receive a lottery number, and it states you are 1 out of 30, or you're number 1, you're number 15, you're number 30, and it will explain what that number means. It will say you're number 1, you're very likely to get on, you're number 15, you might not get on housing, you might need to make some other arrangements. You're number 30, you are very likely not to get on campus housing. So we try our very best to help students get a good idea of what their quote-unquote chances are to get on campus. We work very hard to get that information out to students right away. The first housing assignments don't begin until early August. At the very, very soonest, a student will receive their lottery number in the middle of July, and they won't start housing assignments until early August. once they have those are again on a rolling basis as they come available. Some students will know in August that they'll be on campus. Some students will be offered an on-campus housing spot during transfer orientation, the 4-day orientation that we offer in the fall. And then some will also be offered housing throughout that first semester. So sometimes someone will leave in the middle of the semester and a room will open, and that will always be opened.
Does it matter if they confirm or pay their deposit first? Do they get is it a better chance to be at the top of the list, or does it matter?
Right. No, it doesn't. We wait until July for all of our confirmed students. Again, like I was saying earlier, a lot of different institutions are just on a different schedule, and so we can't do anything. There's no one-size-fits-all in transfer. That's kind of the golden rule for all of anything that has to do with anything transfer. Feels like there's no one-size-fits-all, and that's why so many of our processes are rolling.
Okay. Does anybody want to talk about their experience as a transfer student with housing?
Did you get on first?
I got on first right away, so I mean, I kind of got right into dorm life, and it was really fantastic because the dorm communities here are really important. But that being said, I also know a lot of transfers who live off campus, and they get involved in dorms, or their club becomes something that's more important. I think that either option, really, it also depends on like what a transfer is interested in. I know some transfers who don't want to live on campus when they come because they've done the college dorm thing, and that's not for them. But so I think it's also a person-to-person kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah, you guys.
So Heather and I actually did not live on campus our first semester, and a lot of the apartment complexes around Notre Dame kind of know that transfer students are coming in, and some of them won't get housing. So a lot of them are really willing to work with you to get 6-month leases so that you can have the entire fall semester covered and not have to pay a full year-long lease. I know that the housing office does really their best to make sure that if transfer students want to live on campus in the spring, that they're able to. Just because of study abroad, leave of absences, all that sort of stuff, we tend to have more rooms available on campus in the spring. So if you happen not to get on-campus housing in the fall, not a big deal. Don't sweat it. You'll more than likely get on in the spring and be integrated into the dorm community, within your first week. So not a big deal at all.
And also, as Erin was mentioning, there is a list, and it'll usually say, like, you're number 1, you get on. If you're the last number, you probably won't get on, so look for housing. I was one of the middle numbers, so kind of in a tough situation because you don't know if you should sign a lease or if you're going to be able to live on campus right away. So what I did was we actually have like a Facebook group that we put all like the incoming transfers once they're accepted, and they can like reach out to different transfers and meet them. That's actually how I met Jessie. So we signed a lease together because we were thinking that we'd be able to get along really well, and we're actually still roommates right now. So that's nice. But I would just say don't sweat it. Living off campus, like Jessie was saying, is definitely not the end of the world, and it's does have its perks, and there are other transfers that will be like close by you, and you create your own kind of transfer community outside the dorm as well. And we also have an adopt-a-dorm program, which both of us participated in with our current dorm right now. And you can there's certain dorms that offer I guess an adopt-a-dorm program, and you as transfer students can kind of like integrate yourself into the dorm with the help of the rectress and the RAs and everything like that. And people are so welcoming, and you meet the people in the dorm that you might otherwise not have had the chance to meet. So
Can you talk a little bit more about that? So as you're coming to a new community as a transfer student, how do you get involved with the current Notre Dame community here, and how are you received by the other students and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so one thing I was really nervous about was people, there's kind of the stigma with transfers, maybe you didn't get in your first semester, maybe you just decided to come here, maybe on a whim, I don't know. And I was really afraid that people were not going to be welcoming, and that could not have been more wrong. People here love transfer students.
They love
They
them.
love them.
They
that
think
they're-
we're so fantastic. Like, which we
Yeah.
are. But they want to know like all about the school you went to.
Yeah,
you know
they're
why you're
fascinated
here,
by
what
it.
you're doing. Are you on campus?
Yeah.
Like just everything about you. It's like so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just found that everybody that I met was just so welcoming and so nice. And it really is a family here. You know, I feel like I'm walking around campus surrounded by my brothers and sisters just because, I don't know, it's such a sense of community and such a unity that we all have. And it doesn't matter if you're a freshman or a senior. You know, we all are kind of in the same boat. And I guess we kind of understand what this school is about, and we're all really working to promote it. So.
Great.
I'm going to put a parent hat on right now and find out, did you buy meal plans?
Oh yeah.
Or did you cook at home, or what did you do? Or home being the apartment, or?
Do you want to go?
Well, I mean, I also was just gonna say because I live on campus and you have to have a meal plan when you live on campus. So
It's
I definitely
included in
have
your
one.
housing costs.
Yes,
Right,
it's included
right.
in that. But I know even a lot of transfers who just came in, they lived on campus, but they opt for the on-campus meal plan too, which is helpful because when you live off campus, say your first semester or not, it's helpful to still go to the dining hall with people who live on campus because it is something that's kind of big. Like everyone goes to South together, everyone goes to North. It's just kind of a community. And then it's also a fun place because that's where you can see people from classes, and that's also a way to meet people who are not transfers. You meet them in your classes, you study with them, you live in their dorm, or you just see them at the same place all the time. I actually met someone because I saw them at Starbucks every day. So, I mean, you just meet people everywhere.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
We actually, because we were living off campus, so we kind of, I don't know what they call it, but it was like a semi-meal plan where we
You
had
buy
like a
you buy the
certain
meals
number.
in blocks. So like
Yeah.
we bought, I think the max was 120 meals, and it lasted us the entire semester. So whereas the meal plan right now, you have the choice of getting 14 meals a week or 21 meals a week. We decided to buy just 120 meals over the course of the semester. We could use them whenever we wanted, and I thought that was pretty effective.
It's a great plan.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So now I'll be a financial aid director
Okay.
and say there's not a difference. So if families are worried about some institutions actually give less financial aid if students live off campus. And so particularly with transfer students, they worry, well, if I'm not going to be on campus, then I'm going to get less aid. That's not the truth here. So we don't differentiate between the students who are living off campus or on campus. So there's not a disadvantage for the student if they don't get on campus right away from a financial aid package
Okay.
perspective. The difference is they're not charged for housing, and but we budget for housing for them. So.
Okay, good. Here's a question for you, Erin. Someone's asking about the difference between the Common App essay and then the supplement that we ask for. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. What we're really trying to get at in the supplement is more information about what your academic goals are. Why are you selecting the major that you're selecting? What has your experience in that major been, and what do you think you will do more in that major? As transfers know, students are reviewed and admitted into a college. And so we need to look very, very carefully at curriculum. We need to look very, very carefully at interest. And because institutions are so different, we also look at that and say, this student indicated that they want to be, the student says they want to be in one college, but based on everything else that they're writing, so for example, pre-health, perfect example, pre-health, we have a science pre-professional studies program, and so many students, many Notre Dame students want to be doctors. They want to go serve others through that field. It's very common for institutions to have pre-med through the College of Science. Well, we have that option here, but we also have a pre-health option in the College of Arts and Letters. And so like Jessie is psychology and pre-health. Well, that's in the College of Arts and Letters. And if someone is sharing about a really unique interest in psychology and a desire to be a doctor, but they're applying to the College of Science, that's not the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're really trying to sift through in that writing supplement, is what is the academic plan? Are you applying to the right college? Are you aware of all the different academic opportunities that are here? And how can we help ensure that you are being admitted into the right major?
Mm-hmm. Sure, sure. Some questions are coming in about missing courses. So depending on when they're applying, they might be missing a math course or a science course. Can you elaborate a little bit on what they need to be thinking about and how they need to handle that?
Absolutely. So when students apply to the university as a first-year student, they're admitted into the first year of studies. They take a broad liberal arts curriculum, and then after their first year, they declare a college. That's why transfer students, we're presuming that they've taken the curriculum that's similar to our first year of studies, and why they are applying directly to that college. That first year of studies curriculum does have certain courses that are required. Things like 2 math classes, 2 natural sciences, social sciences, etc., English, or writing and rhetoric course. If a student is missing 1 or 2 of those core classes, and they are very, very competitive applicants, we'll often offer them contingent admission. And that means you've been admitted to the university, but you're an econ major. As an econ major, you need to have Calculus 1, Calculus 2, microeconomics, and macroeconomics. That's what our economics majors who are coming in as first semester sophomores, that's what they need.
Mm-hmm.
But they're great applicants, and for whatever reason, they went to a school that didn't require that.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to let them take those classes over the summer, as long as it's not more than 2.
Okay.
Our own academic code doesn't allow them to take more than 2.
Okay.
And so,
And do
it's
they
really
generally
hard.
take those classes at their current institution, or how does that usually work?
Some students will take them at their current institution. They're welcome to take them here at Notre Dame through our summer session program as well. They're also welcome to take them close to their home. So students who are offered that contingent admission, we always encourage them to circle back with us. Let us know what that class is,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll go ahead and review that and ensure.
Okay.
Some students will also look through and see that we haven't yet received their final grades, but they look like they're going to be a strong student based on their high school profile and their first semester. But I can see, just from what I'm seeing, that boy, this looks like a great candidate, but I know they're missing a class.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of those students I'll reach out to in early May or sometime during May and just say, hey, just so you know, we haven't received your grades yet, but if you are admitted, you will need to take a class. So some people will also be notified a little bit earlier, especially if it's something like organic chemistry. We have a different chemistry sequence.
Okay.
So all students who are in the sciences will need organic chemistry before they come in.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone have to take Orgo?
They
Everyone had to take Orgo. Right. And so where did you guys take Orgo?
Oh, I actually took it here because
Okay.
you might have added the rule. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I took organic chemistry 1 in the spring of my sophomore year, and then organic chemistry 2 over the summer here.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
I actually took mine before I arrived here in the fall, the year that I transferred. So I took it this summer after my freshman year of college, and I just took it at a private university right near my house. And
Okay.
it was really, really awesome, actually. I loved it.
Do they get that approval from you, Erin, for
They
that
do.
class?
Mm-hmm.
I remember sending in the course that I was going to take because I remember I was like, all right, Orgo, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
So you
So-
sent in the course description
And where it's going to be taken and the credits that it has. So, for instance, the credits had 3 hours of credits like to lecture and like 2 to lab, which is just like credit systems are different. So I just
Mhm.
wanted to make sure like will that add up to a lab here. Especially labs are important, especially in the sciences, because not all institutions require the same amount of lab hours. And in the summer, it's really important to make sure you get those because those are So for instance, like I did have to go to a lab that met every day.
Mhm.
Like I happen to love organic chemistry, so it was fantastic. But that was something that you really have to make sure matches up with the sciences.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Thanks. This is a unique question about ROTC scholarships. So
Sure.
a student that is currently on ROTC scholarship at their current institution, will that transfer here? And if they're on that scholarship, are they still required to fill out the CSS profile in the FAFSA form here at the University of, or for the University of Notre Dame?
Sure. Good question. The first advice I would give to the student would be talk to, if it's a Navy or whatever branch, so if there are other ROTC students, talk to the captain in the branch here at Notre Dame to make sure the transfer. That is not our decision in financial aid. That's really up to the branch of the military.
Okay.
And so make sure that transfers, and is it the same level? If it transfers, is it the same level of support that your current institution is providing? Do you have to fill out the FAFSA profile? No one has to do that. I guess I'm a little cautious because what if something happens? So you could certainly do it after. We wouldn't penalize you for being late or whatever. But let's say you're accepted for admission and you're still waiting to hear if the ROTC is going to transfer. And maybe you want to have a backup plan in case it doesn't, or you have to wait a semester or something. So certainly wouldn't hurt if the student wants to use student loan, if they need student loan to go along with the ROTC benefit, then certainly the FAFSA is an important piece for the student to complete.
Okay.
So they can do it in multiple different ways, but I think the first thing I would do would be to discuss with the branch here at Notre Dame the possibility of the transfer of that scholarship to Notre Dame from wherever they are.
Okay. What about visiting campus? Does a transfer applicant have a better chance of being admitted if she or he visits campus?
No.
Maybe if they send you flowers or cookies.
Sure,
I don't know.
I like that question. No, we would never say someone would have a better chance of being admitted because they have come to campus. That would be woefully unfair to our students who are coming to us from far away. We have students coming from all over the country, all over the world. Students by no means need to feel pressure to come to campus. We don't keep records of how often someone is in touch. We don't. Sometimes students think that they just need to make sure we remember their names and whatnot, and we really don't look at how often someone reaches out to us in the admission process, and certainly we're not going to penalize someone because they don't come to campus. No, but students are always welcome to come to campus, get a good feel as to see whether or not they think this is the right institution for them. Always welcome students to come and visit. It's great. Go on a campus tour, sit in for an information session. They're always welcome to.
Yeah. And I would encourage anyone to, if you have the opportunity, don't feel like you have to, but if you have the opportunity to come and visit, we would welcome that. Talk a little bit about orientation in your experience when you arrived on campus in the fall, and what was transfer orientation like, and maybe talk about your favorite parts of it. Maybe the things you didn't like too, that's fine.
All right, I'll just start
This
this
is such a
one
great
off.
question.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited to answer this. But all three of us have been on the committee as leaders at one point in time. And last year, I actually helped to lead it. This year, Michelle is doing that for the fall. And it's just a really exciting time. It's a 4-day orientation, which is actually a day longer than the freshmen. So that's nice. But we just do a lot of kind of like team activities and like building our like transfer community and making sure students feel welcome here and acclimating them to like the culture, and we kind of help with advising for classes and stuff like that, and we will help you get your schedules and it will work out.
You have a whole block of time dedicated to that during orientation. So it's just great. I mean, my favorite part is just how unique it is. It's really geared towards people who have gone to college before, and it is geared towards students who, housing on campus or not, we do have this unique system that we call transfer families, and it's just a great way to kind of get acclimated. You and say like, anywhere from like 7 to 13 other transfers, I guess, 13, 15, you're assigned to 2 committee leaders who serve as like transfer mom and dad, or transfer mom and mom, depending on, or transfer dad and dad, depending on how many leaders we have. We are a co-ed school, despite the room right now. And it's really just a fun way to meet everyone. Like, I still call my transfer dad here. Like, he was one of the first people that I ever talked to, and he's still on campus. I see him all the time. I held a sign, or I was not here for the Holy Half, but text him when he finished it. So it's just like, you still keep your family like relationships, and it's just really unique.
Mm-hmm.
Non-transfers are really jealous of it, because freshmen, they have their orientation with their dorm, and it's something that's really like Notre Dame-ish, but no, like, they don't have transfer families. So I love that. It's really unique.
I just loved it because it was like 4 days of just like, it was a good mix between like having so much fun, just every hour you're just having so much fun, but you're also getting acclimated in so many different ways. So you're getting acclimated through the academics, you're figuring out your schedule, talking to your advisor, just kind of figuring out, how the school works, and you're also meeting tons of people. In the fall, I think for my year we had 140 kids, so I just got to meet so many kids, and it was nice to, especially that first week, to walk around campus and to feel like you know people, because I feel like that's really like
and they're all
integral.
from different schools,
and they're all from different schools, and it's a unique bond that you have, and you're going to carry it for the rest of your time.
And you get to know buildings. Like,
Yeah.
I remember freshmen asking me where things were my first semester here, and transfer also helps you orient yourself on campus, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
It's a really
it's
good
just a great
time.
it's a good orientation.
Yeah.
Good.
From a professional side, it's I think it's so great to see transfer orientation unfold, because it really, even though it's run through the university, it is driven by previous transfer students. So the whole spirit is, we've been in your shoes, we know what your concerns are, and we're here to help. They just do a fantastic job.
Every transfer
It's
committee
impressive.
leader, like my transfer dad, also transferred. So it's just fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. So you mentioned that you had a lot of fun. What are some of the activities that you did? What are some examples of some of the things that took place during orientation?
We have a scavenger hunt, which is really the first thing. So it's a mix between, it's a fine line between the awkward beginning and the fun. I remember mine because my family was we had a fantastic time. It's the first time you're not with your parents, it's right after breakfast, and you're just kind of really meeting transfers for the first time. So that's always great at the moment and to look back on. There's ND Football 101, where you get acclimated. That's where the culture starts, at least for the fall semester too. And then there's Doomsday, where we kind of just go to Lake Michigan, and you really just get to relax with all of the people you just met, and it's the last day of transfer orientation, which is nice because it's also, the rest of orientation is so much fun, but there's so much going on that it's nice to just have a day where you're in one spot, you're just meeting it's now you've known them for 3 days, so you kind of have things to talk about, so I think that's one of the really great.
Yeah, definitely.
Then there's field day things if you
Picnics on the
competition.
quad.
Yeah, picnics,
Yeah. Trivia.
Yeah.
I think one of the best events is the Grotto Visit, because it's a really cool place on campus, and it's kind of nice to go there, whatever religious affiliation you are, or if you're not religious at all. It's just nice to kind of feel that sense of community surrounding you and all the support, and just being there as a collective group for the first time as students on campus. And we also, Michelle mentioned, we have a breakfast. And that's, you kind of go with your parents and you kind of mingle with all these strangers that you don't know, but it is fun. And you kind of hear speeches, Aaron will speak, usually Father Jenkins, who's the president, he'll speak, some of the transfer
He
students
also
will
transferred,
speak.
Father Jenkins.
Yeah,
So.
be aware of that. But it's really fun, and it's a nice start to the whole orientation.
And something important, just going with the Grotto, a really important part of transfer orientation, regardless of your religious affiliation, is we do have a transfer mass. It's in the Basilica. It is transfers only with their families. You receive your Notre Dame prayer book and another special part, like a special medallion that like even freshmen get. And it's just, regardless of your religion, it's really just a beautiful moment where you're here, you're a student, you're a member of this community, no matter what you are, you deserve to be here. And it's beautifully overwhelming. Like, I will never forget my first transfer mass. So, especially after, like, the excitement of coming and just, it's really a wonderful, wonderful thing.
I think my mom cried throughout the entire thing.
My mom and my dad brought the gifts up.
Oh.
I don't even know. It was so bizarre.
They were lovely. It was one of the best.
I left them for 5 minutes and come back. They're like, "Oh, sister, we're gonna bring the gifts up." And I was like, they just left me in the middle of mass. I was like, why was this one? It was great. So
that's good. It's a good story. You mentioned that your class was maybe 140 students, the transfer class that came in, and there's a lot of questions coming in, Erin, about how large the transfer class is each year, and you can imagine the next question is, related to what are my chances? So how many students apply for transfer admission? How many get in? And I don't know if you can answer that or not, but a lot of students are asking.
Right. Well, transfer admission is quite competitive. Every year it's different, but it's typically about 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5, I would say. 20 to 25% admit rate. So I would just say, if I think people saying, "What are my chances? How do I make sure I get in?" I feel like a total parent here. Study really hard, do really well for the rest of your semester. Sometimes students will ask me, do you want to see a full load of extracurriculars in my first year of college? Will that look better? Will it look better on my application? And frankly, the answer is no. I don't look quite so carefully at extracurriculars because, as these guys say, the student who decides to transfer, by their very nature, the kind of person who says, I want to change my institution and I'm going to do something so drastic as to transfer, they have that just natural enthusiasm, and they have the energy to get involved and to make Notre Dame a better place because they've been here. And so I just presume with all of our transfer applicants that someone who's applying to Notre Dame carries those qualities with them. So we're looking really carefully at the academics. So if someone is thinking to themselves, do I participate in an activity, or do I, get that A instead of the A minus? The answer is go get that A.
Sure. Okay. What about students that are submitting artwork as part of their application? And can you walk them through how they can submit a portfolio? And if they do, is that reviewed?
Sure. So we receive portfolios electronically through Slide Room. Slide Room can be accessed through the Common application. And it's a great, very easy, straightforward way to submit a portfolio. The portfolio is really meant, though, for the student who is applying to an art major or a music major, or perhaps they're applying to the School of Architecture. So we're really looking for students who their major is going to be in those fields. If a student is looking to be an engineer and they love to sing, they're welcome to submit a music portfolio. It will be reviewed, but it just won't carry the same weight it would as if you would be a music major. Majors of all kinds are involved in music opportunities, and majors of all kinds are involved in, the arts and whatnot. So again, Notre Dame students are very, very interesting young men and women, but slide room is the number one way.
And that's through the common application.
That's through the common application.
Okay.
Slide room.
Okay, good. Mary, what about outside scholarships? So if a student has an outside scholarship and they're using that toward their current tuition at their current institution, is that something that they can transfer here, or how does that work?
Sure, great question. That's going to be up to that organization. So is it something that can transfer out of a particular state? Was it only because you went to school X? My experience in general is outside scholarships can be used at most institutions and are transferable. State grant programs, they didn't ask that, but I will say most state grant programs are not portable. In our world, it's not going to hurt you if your state grant doesn't transfer here. We're going to make that up. If you have financial need, we're going to make that up with university money. In terms of then how would it impact a financial aid decision, I think the most important thing to start with is we meet 100% need. And so because we meet need, that outside scholarship has to be incorporated into a financial aid offer. And our policy is to reduce work or loan in a financial aid package. So it still really benefits a student to try and keep that indebtedness down and whatnot, to bring outside scholarship dollars with them.
And then how do they make you aware of those scholarships?
Sure, they can either, we have a financial aid email, it's very clever, FinAid, like financial aid, FinAid at nd.edu. And they can communicate about outside scholarships through there, let us know. Actually, on the CSS profile, there's actually a question about, are you receiving any outside scholarships that we should know about, so that we can incorporate and give you the best financial aid offer right up front. That's really what our goal would be. Again, knowing that you have a little bit shorter time that you're trying to make a decision about coming here. So you're welcome to communicate at any questions, that might be even specific, whether it's outside scholarship, whether it's, I don't know how to do these applications, or my parents are divorced and do I need something different? We can certainly answer any of those questions at this point in time. Whether you're admitted or not, we still want you to be prepared if you are admitted, that we can move forward as quickly.
Okay, thanks. And Erin, about a student, and actually there's probably 3 or 4 questions about this. If they didn't do as well in high school compared to how they're doing in college, how does that fare in the application review process?
Well, it's a great question. We would like to see students developing an upward trend. Say they didn't do as well maybe in their freshman and sophomore year of high school, but then they really got it together in junior and senior year of high school. They may not have been offered admission in the first year process at Notre Dame, but they then went to another excellent 4-year institution, really knocked it out of the park. That would be a student who, kind of just maybe matured a little bit later academically and now is really hitting their stride and doing a great job. The other one that we see a lot is a student who did incredibly well in their grades in high school, but maybe a standardized test was a little bit softer than the first year applicant pool. Well, a standardized test is used as a predictor of college success, and we would look at that significantly less when we have a demonstrated year of academic success. So for someone who might have had a little bit softer of a test score than what our incoming class would have, but then they went somewhere and have just a fantastic first year, they would be a great welcome.
Okay, good. We talked about this earlier, but some students have joined us late in the presentation, so could you talk a little bit more or explain again when they're going to receive notification if their application is complete? When they might receive an email that lets them know that their application is complete.
Sure. So emails will be going out soon saying that we've received your application. So for students who have already submitted their application, they'll be receiving an application soon saying, yes, we have received it, and some further instructions from there. Students will not be receiving your application is complete, because April 15th is our deadline, and we do start that application review process. And remember, we're still waiting for those final grades. So to say that an application is complete would be not actually accurate. So what we do send, though, is an incomplete letter, an incomplete email. Again, that's an email that's sent to that Common App email address. That would be saying, hey Joyce, we've received, thanks for your interest in transferring. We're still missing your final high school transcript. Something that you might not know isn't in yet.
Right. Got it. Okay. And then some questions again about housing. I know we talked a little bit about this, but and you all can probably relate. It's probably something that makes you feel a little anxious.
Yeah.
How do you find roommates, and how do you mentioned that you connected on the Facebook site, but how does it work for transfers if they're not connecting on the Facebook site or finding roommates on their own? How are they paired up? Is it random? How does that work?
So when you're in the lottery for on campus, it's just completely random. For instance, my roommate my first year here, so I was a sophomore. She was a senior. She was a senior who had studied abroad, but through a non-Notre Dame program. So coming in, instead of being in the Notre Dame housing lottery, she was placed in the, not the readmitted lottery, she was placed in like the random one for students coming back from abroad. I'm not sure the logistics of where she was, but she was placed in like a similar lottery to me, except preference for the dorm that she was in. So I was then put in like to her dorm, I guess, and they paired me with her. And it works out great. We're still friends.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
I would say, for the majority of the kids living off campus, the best place to connect is through the Facebook group. Just because, for the most part, I would say most of the students are in the Facebook group. You guys can talk. You can say, hey, I'm looking at, this apartment complex. I'm looking for a 4-person apartment, who has what lottery number. And it's a really good way to kind of get the talk flowing and to start the process of housing a little bit earlier than as opposed to moving up to South Bend and having to figure out now. So.
And I just want to say, if you're not on the Facebook group or if you don't have access to social media or anything like that, a good thing to do would be halfway through the summer, your transfer parents are going to call you and just kind of like talk you through all your concerns and your questions and all that stuff. So if you are looking for a roommate and you're not in the Facebook group, just tell one of them, and they can easily connect you, most likely, with someone that they know of that's also looking for a roommate and get that conversation started.
Yeah. For example, I don't have a Facebook, so that would be a great way to, because some students may not have one. I understand, I'm probably one of few, but there are other ways to communicate with other transfers. Google Docs. We can also connect you. The transfer committee leaders really make a point to reach out to you during the summer to answer any questions you may have and put you in contact with anyone we think you could help.
Good.
There's also on the transfer website a off-campus housing document that has been prepared, and it just lists out all the different off-campus housing options with floor plans and how far it is to walk to various places and just excruciating detail. So again, if a student can't come to campus and see with their own eyes what an off-campus housing might be, they can feel pretty comfortable moving forward.
Someone asked, do you need a car? Do you live off campus?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I know a lot of people who didn't have them and don't have them now, and they're fine. Some, for instance, there's one off-campus housing complex place called University Edge, and they actually provide a shuttle to campus during the school week for classes, so I know that's utilized a lot. My friend who even has a car uses it because it just gets him to class on time. So I mean, I think it really depends also, I guess, personal preference with that, because if you don't have a car, all places are usually walkable.
Yep. And there's also a bus
Or
that
bikes.
is free.
Yeah,
or
bikes
Bikes
are
are
such a
big.
good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Be
So-
wary of the lock you get, and just
Make
just
sure you
mostly
lock
for
it.
tree purposes. It's just a
So do
a
you want to
joke.
elaborate on
just
that?
just for student culture. I have seen many bikes in trees.
Mm.
They're easy to get down, from what I understand. I don't have upper body strength, so it's not something that I could do. But I know, like, I had a bike and just it was useful.
Yeah.
Bikes,
Yeah.
yeah, for
A
people
lot
off
of
campus
people
too.
have- even people that live on campus, a lot of people have bikes. We both had bikes, and it was super easy just to like bike to and from our apartment to campus, and we could stay on campus however long we wanted, and just like bike back at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay, good. What about Notre Dame football tickets? Can transfer students get Notre Dame tickets?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a very important question.
Everyone, yeah, You get I think Monday is when everyone gets them, or like Monday after transportation before classes. There's like a day when you all go to get them, so it's not, and all the transfers kind of sit together in the stadium, so it's really nice because it's all the people that you saw during orientation, and then there's also like other sections, so you see people who are not transfers, but it's nice to have familiar faces.
Okay. What about, can you clarify again about the rolling process?
The rolling process? Sure. So we will receive applications. We will receive full completed files on a ongoing basis, and we will review applications when we have everything that we can review the student accurately and most fully. So we will that admission or that rolling process typically starts with schools that finish earlier in May. Those are the students who tend to receive decisions in the earlier part of June. So again, sending grade reports as quickly as possible. I can't emphasize that enough, how much that assists us in making a decision in a timely fashion for you all. So go ahead and send us those materials as quickly as possible. But some students will be held for whatever reason. Maybe we're looking a little bit more carefully at how closely their curriculum dovetails, and we just need to really spend some time digging into that. Actual application will do that, and it will take more time than a student who isn't applying to that particular major.
Okay. And then can students, will they receive their decisions online, or can they log on, or are we sending paper decisions to transfer students? How does that work?
All decisions from the University of Notre Dame Office of Undergraduate Admission come via snail mail. Mm-hmm. Yep. So we do the old-fashioned U.S. Postal Service. Again, to the address on your common application.
Yeah, so make sure, just to emphasize.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then just to elaborate for some of the students that joined us later, the financial aid letter and notification then will come after your admissions letter. So that's something that you'll be looking for as a second piece of mail that will come in the process. This is a good question, I think, for the students that are here about community and getting acclimated. And we talked a little bit about it, but the questions come up again. Talk a little bit about the interaction between students and faculty and administrators on campus, and how it feels to be a student here on our campus.
Yeah.
I would say that I feel like I can speak to this because I got to campus and I was a mess and I was crazy and I didn't know if I could compete with the students here, and I was nervous about my classes and my teachers and how I'd be graded and everything. But the faculty here and the staff, everyone is so willing to help you and so excited to know your story, like Michelle was saying, and just do whatever they can, go out of their way. I had several teachers go out of their way and meet with me and kind of talk me through their expectations and stuff like that. And I know a lot of the majority definitely of transfer students just really find success here, even the first semester that they're here. So don't be nervous about that.
I'd say staff and administration and teachers all over campus are just really just wonderful people. Your teachers are awesome. They want to get to know you, and that goes for whether you're a transfer or just a regular student on campus. Teachers, they want to see that you care about learning. I talk to my teachers all the time. Some of them even from other semesters, just go in and you chat. Even staff, administrators, they're fantastic too, working with people in admissions. You can walk up there and, I mean, I've talked about things about my life to Erin all the time. Like, I've gone in just, pouring out what's going on with me. So just, you form relationships. And even staff on campus, the priest that lives in my dorm is one of my best friends, and the guy who works, one of the guys who work at South Dining Hall, they're the people that you see every day. I got breakfast every morning and became friends with the guy who makes the omelets. Like, it's just, everyone on campus is so friendly, and they love the students that are here, because we're in Notre Dame. Like, it's just...
The thing that I've noticed is that, like, it doesn't matter if you're a student, if you're an administrator, a staff, whatever you are, everybody goes out of their way to make sure that you can succeed.
Yeah.
And everybody is really, really into promoting what Notre Dame really is, and that's just community and it's family. And that was, I don't want to say that it was a surprise for me, but you don't really understand it until you come here, and then it kind of clicks and you get it.
So it was different than and not to disparage your other institution, but it was a different culture.
It's a different culture.
Much different.
It's a lot of, let me help you, as opposed to it's me against you, every man for himself. It's, let's do this together, which I love. I think that it's great.
Yeah, and it's just like sharing and like the family and excitement. For instance, even people who don't go here, they're not on campus. I was at home once and I was wearing a Notre Dame hat. I was in Wegmans, and I got into like a 30-minute conversation about this school and being a student on it with one of the guys who work at Wegmans. My mom went back the next day and brought him a Notre Dame hat. It's just something where, like, anywhere you are, it's just a feeling of family. Like, he immediately felt like he was family to me just because he was like a fan of the school. And it's just, people just come to visit. I work at the visitor center. People have never been on campus before, but they just love it. They immediately want to know about you as a student. They want to know about all the opportunities that you have here, and they want to hear about ways to like help you out. I met a lady on a plane who was the person for the botanical gardens in Fernwood. She's like on the board. She was like, listen, come by anytime, tell them you're my guest. Well, we'll give you a big tour. And it's just like, she was just excited to see that I was a student in the arts, and she wanted to help me out. She was just like, oh, you're a Notre Dame student. I live in the South Bend community. How can I help you? And I was just like, it's great to meet you.
It's
so
an
it's
immediate
just,
connection.
It's an immediate connection, and they're just, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So.
Good. AP credit, Erin. You guys get to talk about all the fun stuff, and then you get to talk about AP credit. Not that AP credit isn't fun, but
it's the most fun thing you can have.
if a student has credit at their current school, is that credit that transfers here for AP courses that they might have taken in high school?
Not necessarily. We have one AP, one advanced placement, one international baccalaureate credit system. And so while one school may offer you credit for, say, a 3 in AP Calculus, well, Notre Dame doesn't offer that. So even though that school gave you credit, we still aren't able to give you credit, and so you're still short a math class. So sometimes that's where students can find themselves in a little bit of trouble. The AP and the IB does not work for any of the sciences. We want to teach you science here. We want to give you, let me clarify, for science and engineering majors. If you're going to be a science and engineering major, we're going to ask that you go ahead and take General Chemistry 1 or go to General Chemistry 2. Want to make sure that you've got a really strong foundation in all of those fields.
Okay.
Okay. But that's that AP credit is online.
Okay. And they can find that through the transfer site?
You should be able to find it through the transfer site. I know it's on the admissions site through the first year of studies as well.
Okay.
So if a student just wanted to type in AP credit table through nd.edu and weren't sure how to find it.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
would just be there.
Okay. Mary, the financial aid application, how will they know if you have all the documents you need to make a financial aid decision?
Sure. Very similar to what Erin described before, we do not send your application as complete letters. We send, this is what we're missing letters. And those for us are actually sent via email to the student using the data that admission uses, so the common application information. Again, we would invite students, if you're worried about it, write to that finaid@nd.edu, but be sure that we do send notifications via email pretty much every 2 weeks to the student, not to the parent, to let a student know if their application is missing something. If once it goes into review, we have a question about something, again, with transfer students, sometimes we'll just pick up the phone and ask our question, again, recognizing that sometimes they're making a faster decision, and going through mail is a little bit slower. So we might do it via phone.
Okay.
And we do send a paper decision, because some of the paperwork, so something like the master promissory note, if you took a student loan at your prior institution, that note doesn't transfer. So you have to do that process again, and we'll send information that says, here's the Notre Dame process that you'd have to follow.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, it's hard to believe, but it's already 7 o'clock, and the time went fast, and I am going to just sign off by saying, the best of luck to each of you as you go through this process, and know that we're all here to assist you in any way that we can. Mary mentioned the financial aid email, and the transfer email is transfer@nd.edu. And we encourage you, when you have questions, to be in touch with us, because we want to assist you in the best way that we can. So our best to you as you move through this process. And have a good night.